Good morning. It's a lovely day here at the CIOPCC, the Crawford Institute of Pop Culture Collectibles, or the Institute. Or you can call it what my wife does, the big building that he keeps his crap in. For a little historical perspective, we built this building about 10 years ago. It's 1,250 square feet, 25 by 50. And inside, over the last 2 years, I've built up about 1,560 square feet of display space. For some comparison, that would be 355 detals if you were to actually use the top shelf for display as well. So it's quite a bit. It took me quite a while, but it's finally to a point where we can show it off a bit. So let's go inside and check it out. So you're greeted by Mike and Sully. These guys came from Toys R Us many, many years ago, won them in a contest. And if we come in and spin around, we'll look at the door, which has a lot of signage around it. You'll notice signage throughout. I'm a big fan of advertising, especially stuff that you can't normally get. Stuff from stores, fast food restaurants. I have a few more there. The frame, as you can see, stuff I'm still working on. Each of the sections of the room, when this was first built and all that stuff was moved out here, the problem was that I couldn't easily start building shelves and towers with all the boxes out here, but I couldn't actually move them anywhere either. So I had enough space to work on one small section at a time. So what I decided to do is I would paint one section at a time and do each section a different color, sort of theme each section. So this is the green section. This is adventure. So you have everything from The Princess Bride to The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, Harry Potter. There's quite a bit of Indiana Jones, of course. As you can see. And there are 2 towers in the adventure section. Haha, get it, 2 towers. And each of these towers are 3 by 4 feet with 5 shelves each. A little more background on the shelves. The top shelf is 22 inches. Each shelf in the middle is 16 inches and the bottom shelf is 22 inches. The bottom is mostly used for storage, but you will see some areas use it for display, especially along the walls. Lots more adventure, including the Safari Adventure set, which we'll walk around here and see, which is a vintage set. And the wall again. We have some space on that shelf, which is good. Got to leave you some space to keep collecting. I consider Game of Thrones adventure, as well as Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The next section is the gray section for Batman. So this section has the largest tower in front. It is 3 by 6. It was the first tower I built, and it was specifically designed to house both of the big Batmobiles from Hot Toys. I also came up with creative ways to create risers at that point so that I could use the center of the shelves and still get all that display space and you could see everything. Lots of statues on top, some of them DC, most of it Batman related. The wall is all Batman related, including the DC Direct Batman Black and White series. Up on top, you're going to see the Tweederhead stuff, the DST animated busts. As we come around the right, we're going to get into the red section next. We'll take a look back into the room. Don't worry, we'll get into each one of these sections in more detail in different videos. I just want to give an overview today. The red section was supposed to be DC. That didn't really work out. And the reason it didn't really work out is because I collect way too much Batman stuff. So you ended up taking over DC with Legends of the Dark Knight, the old Mattel Batman line, the Batman, all the animated series stuff. You did get a Superman row in there, which is nice, and then more of the Batman. On the wall in front of it, we do have the Justice League figures. This is a 2 by 8 shelf, and all the way around it is a set of the Justice League figures. There's a set of DC Direct mini figures. Some of the Batman Brave and the Bold, some of the Batman. Up on this shelf, we have a lot of the DC Universe. And all of this stuff wraps around to the other side of the 2 by 8 shelf where you get the continuation. There's Batmobiles up on top on an angle. More of the Justice League, more DC Direct, more Mattel Multiverse. Superpowers, Mego, more Batman animated, and more DC Universe. Those are 2 by 8 shelves. Towers. So the next section is blue. The blue section was supposed to be Marvel. And I did pretty good keeping it Marvel along the wall. So the wall is mostly Marvel Hot Toys. You'll see 4 of the 5 shelves are Marvel Hot Toys. The bottom shelf has more of the Marvel Universe stuff from Toy Biz and Hasbro. The tower in front of it, the top shelf with the quarter scale stuff and some of the Build-A-Figures, that's all Marvel. But the next 4 shelves, that's all DC and mostly Batman. I collect way too much Batman. Then we get into the miscellaneous section. The miscellaneous section, I threw anything that I didn't really feel fit anywhere else. Some of the cartoon stuff bled over here, specifically the 70s licenses like Space Ghost and some of the Christmas stuff. We have on the wall, and the pink is for the miscellaneous. We have everything from Marilyn Monroe to Breaking Bad to Michael Jackson. And there are some Ghostbusters you'll see there. You'll see a whole section of Ghostbusters later. Avatar, Kill Bill. These are all what I consider miscellaneous lines, James Bond. Across from that, we start getting into the science fiction as we move from miscellaneous to science fiction. So you'll start to get some mix here between like Twilight Zone and Star Trek, along with things like some more Christmas figures. And some Back to the Future. Now, these are the Mezco 112 collective shelf. This shelf is the ones that are either the in-house properties or the general license properties. We'll see all the Marvel and DC stuff in a minute. The corner is all Hellboy. Well, mostly there's some Judge Dredd too. There's a really open shelf here that we've got to work with. On the wall in the silver section, you're going to start to see things like Aliens, RoboCop, Terminator, more Star Trek, and variety of other science fiction licenses, old and new. As I said, along the walls, you'll tend to see more of the floor section used. Next up is the brown. The brown is military and Western. And so you're going to get a lot more vintage stuff back in the 60s and 70s, especially the 70s. You're going to find a lot of Western and military figures. So here you got the Gabriel Lone Ranger stuff. You've got a lot of international European lines. You've got a lot of other Gabriel work like from Zorro, and these a little bit more of the military. Those are the Sideshow Platoon figures. It moves into the military around the corner, including Civil War, World War I and II. And on the wall in the brown section, we have a whole row of the Backs of the Best of the West, various military and Western figures from movie and TV shows, and as well as various play sets from the 60s and 70s, Karl Marx, Lone Ranger, etc. And some unique and unusual military and Western and various historical figures that fit in that group. If we go around the shelf that's in front of it, around the towers that are in front of it on the other side, that theme continues on the other side. Everything from older vintage stuff. This is a great example of a mix match shelf. Here you've got some vintage stuff with the Ready Gang. This is from the 1970s, flowing into brand new stuff that covers Westworld. And on the towers, these are the towers that are in front of the Western and into the science fiction section. So you'll notice that it goes from Western and military type stuff, Migos, all the way down here into RoboCop and Back to the Future, which then bleeds more into other science fiction. Shelf of Astronauts, Migos Star Trek, Planet of the Apes. And then in this whole section, I also added in all my Spawn stuff. So now let's walk back around this way and check out the orange section, which is horror. So the horror section has a nice 2x8 shelf in front of it. That shelf includes everything from Buffy and Gremlins and lots of different lines from NECA, McFarlane, and Mezco, Stranger Things, lots more Buffy on this side, as well as there's some stuff for the Evil Dead, Walking Dead, and lots more Buffy. Some of the Star Wars bleeds over here, but you'll see that in a minute from another section. More of the stuff up on the ceiling. There's a little bird helicopter. So on the wall of the orange section, you get into 80s horror. We get into lots of vampires and Frankensteins. We get Buffy again. We have a variety of 7 and 8-inch horror figures. These are all Universal monsters. Going into some more modern stuff. Everything from something modern like The Nun to a license that's like I Was a Teenage Werewolf. And on the tower, there is one of my favorite shelves. This is the zombie apocalypse shelf, where we have various people fighting zombies and various zombies. The next section is black and white for Star Wars. Star Wars is the only license that gets really its own section when you think of it as a license. It consists largely of 12-inch figures from Sideshow and Hot Toys, Gentle Giant mini busts, and on the shelf in front, the tower in front, Star Wars Black from Hasbro. If you spin around on that shelf, you see the other half of it from this side. So you'll see the front side of the Sideshow dioramas, some more of the quarter scale, and some more of the Sideshow Black, Star Wars Black from Hasbro. Now, then we get into the last two sections, which are cartoon sections. The purple is sort of a general cartoon section, so you'll see all kinds of stuff here. Everything from Earthworm Jim and Futurama and Ren and Stimpy to Invader Zim, South Park, Rick and Morty. Lots of different things. On the tower in front of it, there's some stop motion stuff, as well as Muppets, and more Muppets. One of my favorite lines of all time is the Palisades Muppets line, and I have the line complete, both carded and loose. And because it's one of only two lines, I have both of those ways, and one of my favorite lines of all time. I have both full collections on display, carded and loose. The towers in front of the cartoon section run down toward the yellow section, which we'll show you the wall in a minute, but that's going to be Simpsons. And on this side of it, there is a lot of Family Guy, Venture Brothers. There is some Simpsons carded stuff. That's the only other line I have complete, carded and loose, and on display both ways. So we'll walk around to the yellow side. So here we are. It's a good shot too that you can see there's all the way down 50 feet to the other wall. That's all the way down 25 feet to the other wall. So the yellow section includes a lot of Simpsons. The wall is entirely Simpsons, hence the yellow. And all of the stuff on this wall is just all of the variety that you get with a license like The Simpsons, where they license their name for everything from fishing lures to asthma inhalers to guitar picks, just everything. On the tower in front of it, at the top, first 3-4 shelves, this is all World of Springfield, loose and carded, as well as some other figures from things like Happy Meal, Mattel. And then the bottom, we actually get into some Disney and Pixar. So we get some of that as well. Let's look at the center of the room. There are 3 towers in the center. These towers are 3 shelf towers instead of 5 shelf towers. The reason for that is because I had things that were simply too big to go on a 22-inch shelf. So, for example, the Ghostbuster shelf on top, the Diamond Select playset that's the Firehouse Doors is too tall, as actually is the Playmobil Firehouse. The second shelf is also more of the Ghostbusters. And the bottom shelf is Cars, which I have way too many of. And all my cars are different, but man, they make a lot of them. On this side, you can see the Blitzway Ecto 1 with their figures. Another one of the shelves has Masters of the Universe. The Castle Grayskull was obviously too tall to put anywhere, especially with the ship on top. Some more ceiling items. And the second shelf is also Masters of the Universe Classics. And then the rest of the cars are down below. I did do 2 Detolfs. I had bought them at the beginning before I had any idea what I was going to do. And I used them in a spot where they would kind of be out of the way here behind Mike and Sully for some more of the cartoon stuff. The last tower is over in the DC area, DC Marvel area, superhero area, and includes a nice section on top for Tony Stark in various Marvel or various Iron Man outfits. The Hulkbuster was the problem here. He's huge, so he needed a shelf all his own. And then below is, as promised, all of the 112 collective stuff from, oh my goodness, Joker's falling over. I'll have to stand him up. All of the 112 stuff from DC and Marvel. And on the bottom is some various, more largely Batman-related items, especially Lego. So that's our quick overview of the building. I will be doing more individualized section videos as we go along so we can see each section. And let me know what you would like to see. Thanks. Bye.